Welcome back. Mr. Yusuf, you've heard the reasons from Dr. Ghanem, and no matter whatever we say, after all, Mr. Morsi was an elected president. He should have given the time that he was elected for. So why he was not allowed? Actually, similar situation happened in Palestine, where Hamas won the election, but they were denied the right to rule, which is a separate issue. But over here, similar thing happened, and in the end, whatever happens, you know who's the ultimate beneficiary of infighting in any Muslim country?
Well, I would like to comment on some of what Dr. Ghanem said. He's used abusive words, calling Saudis and Emirates country of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates as a gang. These people has helped Egypt throughout the history since 1973 when we crossed the Suez Canal and October 73. And they always helped Egypt. And when Morsi came into power, they tried to help. They tried to give. They are not gang. And I refuse totally this word to the people of Saudi Arabia. Because Saudi Arabia and Emirates, when they help Egypt, they help the Egyptian people, not the regime itself. So it depends when they present the help and the support. It depends on the regime how to cooperate with this, because it has to go through the right channel. The channel at the moment was blocked by Morsi to Saudis and Emirates and all this country. It went all to Qatar, okay, for some reasons. And everybody knows this reason. That's number one. So he abuses Saudi Arabia and Emirates, the two countries who helped Egypt a lot. And even investment in Egypt. There is one big city in Egypt called Sheikh Zayed city, and so many others. So we shouldn't call these people gang. That's number one. Number two, he also, because I didn't want to comment on it, but I have to comment now, on Sisi is a small donkey and all that. Sisi is the leader of the Egyptian army, and also, I must stress here to your viewer and to yourself, the Egyptian army is not like all the armies in the world, my friend. Our army is different from all the armies all over the world. Our army is part of the Egyptian nation, the Egyptian people. In my family.
Well, any army is part of the
No, my friend, it's professional army. Most of the armies now are professional. There is no national service. In our country, we still work with national service. You have to do the national service. Every family. If we are 100 million now, and average family is 5, then we have 20 million families. In each family of these 20 million, one man at least gone to the army. To the army, and it is believed to protect the country and the Egyptian people is different from so many other armies.
So let me
So let us be constructive and positive in our discussion, not abusive. I mean, I cannot accept Saudi Arabia is a gang.
Let me put a similar question.
This language is totally rejected in our discussion.
Slightly different dimension. Sorry, let me just. So say.
Let me just finish this one point. Half a minute.
Okay.
Also, Mr. Mohammed say 4,000 murders.
Murders, yeah, 4,000 people.
Where are they? Killed. It's a number. 4,000. It's impossible, my friend. Where are they? Where are their bodies? They have to prove, these people, when they talk, they have to give us a proof. Very soon, my friend, in the next couple of months, in the court.
Doug, have you got any proof for these 4,000 people
4,000 exactly.
been killed?
Where are they?
I would ask,
please,
my friend here, how many?
As the authorities
we all seen
it's
it.
about 300-400.
It's documentary.
It's a 400 people.
It's been burned. They have burned the mosque on the people. Then even 400. I'm not going to argue. I'm sure is more than 4,000. And not only that, in the prisons, how many? About 20,000 today. All these number, one being killed in that way of massacre is enough.
Well,
but what I'm saying is, this is the nature of the coup. He said a few hundreds is enough to make it bloody coup.
You're absolutely right. Unfortunately,
and
yes,
when I say the Sisi, that is linguistic. Is the word called Sisi? No, that's no harm of anybody.
I call Ghanem in that.
No, but I'm just mentioning it because it's being used for. It's been used by the administrator. I'm not counting what they say, but this is for the gangs. I'm saying against because they are family ruling against democracy. That's why they hate democracy. And when they say help Egypt, nobody help Egypt. Egypt helped everybody, and we have the duty for those people to stand on because we defend them. Egypt was helping those before those people being born. Egypt is the heart of the place, and if they help for their own. Otherwise, we don't want their help. We need democracy for the heart of the area. Without that, that's why they fight it, because they go for the master.
So if you are saying that 4,000 people have been killed,
at least,
yeah, at least. So let me put a comparison here. We know recently in Syria, there has been this alleged use of chemical attack, yeah, and there is no evidence so far, and everybody agreed about the number of people died, unfortunately 1,425. And using that as a pretext, US is almost ready to strike Syria. So if 4,000 people have been murdered, I mean, it could be more or less. I'm not putting any figure. So, do you think that US should attack or try to topple the regime in Syria? In Egypt?
First, we're not violent. Secondly, we're against intervening in any external power. This is Egyptian soil. It's an Egyptian affair. Egyptian people will sort it by themselves. But we don't want anybody to help in any other. As well, we believe in Syria as well. So
let me ask a question. Sorry, I have been asked that we have got a Skype call. We have got Samir Mustafa. He's an expert political analyst on Egypt. So let's bring Samir in. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Samir. Welcome to the show, Samir. I know. Have you been listening to our program, or shall I?
Yes, I listened to most of it.
So, how do you see that situation? How do you see the situation in Egypt?
I see the situation in Egypt improving every day. We have faith in our army. We have faith in our future. We have faith in our ability to make it up for what we have lost in the last, not only the last year, but the previous period too. What Dr. Morsi have done, the good things first, that he have done to Egypt, he united all Egyptians. He made us discover the true faith and target Muslim Brotherhood wanted. And we are very pleased with what we have done so far. General Sisi, not only with his actions and his people of the army, have saved Egypt, but have saved the whole region, if not the whole world. In 1 year of Morsi power, he insulted the Egyptians, insulted the country, insulted Islam and Christianity. We have came up with the revolution of 25th because of the corruption during the previous regime. And within 1 year, Dr. Morsi and his group have done much, much worse.
But whatever you say, Samir, he was an elected president.
Absolutely.
He came through the vote. So why couldn't you give him an opportunity to rule for the tenure that he was elected for? and you could have reversed all the amendments once he was gone.
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. Let me answer it, please. First of all, he won. He won because we are Egyptian, we are religious people, we are Muslim. We tried to give the Muslim Brotherhood and trusted their promises. We gave them a chance. Secondly, it was a tactical voting. Tactical voting means that many of those who gave him their voice, their vote, gave it to him because they didn't want to elect the other candidate. That is why. Unfortunately, we couldn't wait. Within 1 year, as I mentioned earlier, he insulted everyone. And he made it absolutely clear that he is a president only for his own group. They targeted.
So do you stay online? Let me ask Dr. Ghanem a scenario here. So
yes.
Everybody is pointing towards Mr. Morsi. None of them, it's interesting, neither Brother Yusuf nor Mr. Samir has mentioned about Muslim Brotherhood overall. They have been specifically pointing at Mr. Morsi. So why couldn't Muslim Brotherhood decided to replace a leader, replace somebody who became so controversial?
Obviously, Mr. Yusuf here and Mr. Samir, I know him. We have different opinion. I'm taking it as a whole. With that, because I've been in the army for 5 years.
No, sorry, the reason I'm asking, because you yourself acknowledge that Mr. Morsi, President Morsi did do some mistakes. So why Muslim Brotherhood?
Who doesn't?
That's what I'm saying. So why
Of course
why did you let him continue and get in this situation?
Because this is the democratic path. We decided to go democratic path, and as Dr. Samir or Mr. Samir is saying, he used his vote tactically. Then if you are clever enough to use your vote tactically, why don't you use your vote to change him? The idea is he's contradicting himself. We went through a democratic path. Then why shouldn't we carry on? What the army to do with politics? The army, as again I say, because people don't understand, those people who watch the media, why they close the media? Because those people sitting, listening to those media, they have brainwash. Everybody keeps saying that contradicting words. If you want to do democracy, Muslim Brotherhood is a part of Egyptian people. They're not alien. I am a Muslim Brotherhood. I feel proud of being Muslim Brotherhood. I choose democracy. Those people which they have saying day and night they want democracy, now they're against democracy.
Yes, Samir, what would you like to say?
Yes, I'd like to answer and clarify this simple question. Let me tell you and remind you what Dr. Morsi has said. He said, it is me to go back to my office, to my power, or the blood will be in the streets. See the difference between what?
That's what's happening now. He meant by between democracy or
let me finish,
a violence.
I did not interrupt you. Let me finish.
Okay, yes, please go ahead.
Yes. Let us remember what also let us see what General Sisi has said as the only leader of any army in the world. He said, we are the Egyptian army. We will cut our hands before it harm any Egyptian.
And he lied. He lied. And he killed the people.
No,
massacre. I think you watch too much Egyptian television.
Let me also remember you one important point. Dr. Morsi was not qualified to put his name forward as a candidate to have.
They have been elected. He has been elected by the Egyptian people.
He is a graduate.
Are you out of your mind?
And who got him out of the prison? It was not the right choice. It was not the right candidate for the Muslim Brotherhood.
Then democracy will correct itself. Will bring the right candidate. Democracy correct itself. You living in England. It's a shame. It's a shame for you to say that.
Your group have ruined the country in 1 year, much more than Hosni Mubarak have done in 30 years.
Sisi in a couple of months has ruined the country more than even 30 years.
Sisi in one day managed to get more than 30
it's a pity for me to hear these words for somebody living in England.
Without paying them, without buses and train and transportation.
Let me ask you.
Without threatening them.
Yeah, let me ask
without promising them of jobs or giving them food.
Samir, let me ask you a question.
have done. Please open your eyes. It is your own country.
Okay, Samir, let me ask you a question about the role of international community and the Arab countries. As Dr. Ghanem pointed out towards the intervention by Saudi Arabia and UAE, what would you say about the sponsorship of Qatar, financial sponsorship of Qatar to Muslim Brotherhood?
Well, it's this. Yes, it is the same. It is the same. They are Qatar and Turkey and America and some of the European countries in the same boat. This is why they are mad. They are mad to see that the Egyptians, including their security forces and the army, have destroyed the dream of America in forming your own Middle East. Their plan to destroy the Egyptian army as they have done in Iraq and different other countries, and very soon they're planning to destroy the remaining army in Syria. They are getting mad because they couldn't do it in Egypt. What we have seen, the response from most of the Arab countries, because they know without strong Egypt, they will be also in danger. The Egyptian army, supported by the Egyptian people, have rescued and saved those countries from the damaging effect and danger of the Muslim Brotherhood. If they manage to get hold of Egypt, they will have been the next target. Egypt meant nothing to Muslim Brotherhood. It was just like a little small council.
So let me bring Dr. Ghanem in at this point. You see, you pointed out at Saudi Arabia and UAE sponsoring current regime, but Muslim Brotherhood was getting big money, big sponsorship, big funding from Qatar itself.
Yeah, we welcome any help to the country, but not to a military coup. What is Saudi to benefit from a military coup, but to stop any democratic process in the area, because they are not democratic. That's the question. But even what I'm saying is the main factor is the Egyptian people. All these is small factors. It won't change the equation. The equation is the Egyptian people. And the Muslim Brotherhood, they are Egyptian. They're not alien. They are part of the Egyptian people. And when they go for democracy, when these secular whatever liberal or all these people which they been under the influence of the Egyptian media saying we are democratic now, they all with the military and supporting killing. For a doctor to support killing, even one, I'm not going to argue the numbers, but even one killing, the economy is collapsing. And it's not the Muslim Brotherhood anymore. It's the Egyptian people. Look at the sea, what is happening now in every ancient Egyptian people refusing the coup. And they will never allow it.
Okay.
The military ruling has stopped and will never come back.
Okay, let me bring Mr. Amir Yusuf in. Mr. Yusuf, we know Muslim Brotherhood is a reality. And
they are Egyptian.
Saying they are Egyptian.
Who are they to say this Muslim Brotherhood?
Exactly. So you cannot finish Muslim Brotherhood by force. So where does this situation leads to?
Let me say something. I've been asked by some British people, British, English people. You have in Egypt the biggest Muslim establishment called Al-Azhar. Maybe you heard of it.
Yeah. It's the leading institution.
Al-Azhar University. I'm a graduate from Al-Azhar University, by the way. Al-Azhar University been in Egypt more than 1,000 years. It's a Muslim teaching institution. I've been asked by one Englishman, how would you have something like Al-Azhar in Egypt and you have other groups teaching and learning people about Islam and you have Al-Azhar? How? Would you think, Amir, that the Italian people and Roma will allow the Vatican, or the Vatican will allow Catholic brotherhoods in Vatican? In Vatican itself? Never. So we don't need Muslim, but we need Muslim brotherhoods as part of the Egyptian society. They are Egyptian. They have to join the Egyptian people who are acting now and finish off all this dream of advising people with Sharia and Islam and all that, because Muslim people are more Muslims than the Muslim brotherhoods. I can assure you that. So we don't need such things because we have Al-Azhar. Okay. So there is no more Muslim brotherhoods activities as a religious group. No more. We finished that. And I can promise you this. No more. They can come and join us as a political party. Yes.
Okay, let me ask Samir same question. You cannot possibly crack down, or you can crack down on Muslim Brotherhood, but you cannot possibly finish them or finish their support by force.
My dear friend, nobody wants to finish them. They are Egyptian. They have all the rights like everybody.
Yeah. Samir, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Yeah. So could you reply to my, or shall I repeat my question?
Yes, repeat it, please.
Yeah, so basically what we were talking about was the presence of Muslim Brotherhood. They are in the Egyptian society, although currently they are facing this massive crackdown, but you cannot possibly finish them completely by force.
Okay, my friend. Okay. They are part of the Egyptian people. We acknowledge that. Everyone acknowledge that. We do not want to get rid of them, and we shouldn't and we can. But I want just to remind you that there are many Egyptian Muslims of the new generation and also many of the old generation already left the original group and setting and system of the Muslim Brotherhood, who have blood on their hands, who generate hate, who support violence. Those we want to get rid of, those we so encourage violence on the stand of Rabaa and Al-Mahda. You have seen them, everybody has seen them and heard them saying that all the killing in China will stop within a second after Dr. Morsi go back to his office. How can you translate this? How can you shake hands with these people? How can you let them out of office? How? What can you do with them? They don't deserve to die once. They deserve to die 1,000 times.
Very strong.
That's a criminal too. That's a criminal. This man is a criminal by saying these words. He can be asked by the law. How come you encourage killing? That's the mentality. Because he's been blind, listening to the Egyptian media. But I want to comment on something. They compare him between Al-Azhar and the church, and Muslim Brotherhood. That's an absolute false.
The flag of
Islam. This is absolute lie. This is absolute lie.
Let Dr.
Propaganda, media propaganda. But I would like to say, for the benefit of the viewer, the church is a religious institution. Islam came to abolish the church as an institution. The Azhar is an educational. I'm qualified to tell Sheikh Al-Azhar, you are wrong. And I would advise him, and I give fatwa in my field.
This is wrong, my friend.
Reject.
That's you are telling bullshit now. I'm sorry to say this to you.
Wallahi,
you cannot say to Al-Azhar, the big man, the Baba of Vatican, somebody come in religion, in the matter of religion we're talking. Yeah. Are you telling him you are wrong?
Yeah, I will tell him he's wrong.
No, if it is scientific
I will tell him
matter,
he's
it's
wrong.
okay. But in religion, no.
I will tell him
he's the master.
What do you mean religion?
He's the master in Islam.
Let him finish.
He is the master by force. That's the problem, my friend.
Rubbish.
These people,
you don't know anything about Islam.
Lies, tell no facts, exaggerate. You don't know. He always take you around the point.
That's Dr. Ghanem finish. I would say
you
just
tell the Imam of Al-Azhar.
Because it's
tell the Imam of Al-Azhar you are wrong.
Yeah.
How come?
I will tell him.
How come? No,
he was wrong.
You don't have the knowledge which you.
I have the knowledge.
You don't have the knowledge as much as he has.
I have the
knowledge. That's his specialized.
Because you don't understand Islam.
I don't understand Islam better than you, my friend.
About methodology.
I don't understand Islam better than the Muslim Brotherhood.
If I have the method,
I will never threat the people saying that if don't bring Morsi back, I will bring bloodshed everywhere. I know this is Islam.
The discussion is getting a bit heated.
Islam killing 25 soldiers.
I would say,
Mr.
Shamir,
the army killed them.
The army.
The army killed them.
Nonsense.
Because we have to.
As always hear nonsense, my friend.
As he killed the 4,000.
Dr. Ghanem, we'll have to say thank you very much to Samir Mustafa for joining us, and we'll bring you in our future programs. Now we have got another clip ready for today's program. Let's watch the clip and we'll come back to discussion.
To Egypt now, where security forces have arrested over 60 supporters and members of the Muslim Brotherhood in the past 24 hours alone. The crackdown on the movement started shortly after President Mohamed Morsi was ousted by the military in early July. The clampdown on Egypt's Brotherhood, which supports the ousted leader, intensified this month after a deadly security raid on two of the group's sit-ins in the capital, Cairo. Relatives of top Brotherhood leaders are also among those detained on charges of inciting violence.
Clashes have once again erupted between pro- and anti-Brotherhood demonstrators in Egypt. At least 2 Brotherhood supporters have been killed in the cities of Alexandria and in Damietta. Rival demonstrations for and against the Muslim Brotherhood and deposed President Mohamed Morsi were held in several cities across Egypt on Friday. Pro-Brotherhood rallies were called by the National Alliance to Support Legitimacy. The group urged supporters to press for the reinstatement of the ousted president and other key demands, but the protests turned violent in Alexandria, Suez, and Damietta. Tensions in Egypt have escalated since President Morsi was deposed by the military in early July. More than 1,300 people, most of them Brotherhood supporters, have been killed in the ensuing violence.
Another day of violence in Egypt. At least 6 people have been killed and dozens more injured when police cracked down on protesters on the day of the Muslim Brotherhood's biggest show of defiance in 2 weeks. Tens of thousands of Egyptians poured into the streets in cities across the country to protest against the military ouster of President Mohamed Morsi in July. The demonstrations turned violent in several cities, and the security forces reportedly opened fire on Brotherhood supporters. The protesters chanted slogans denouncing the country's army chief, General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and the military-backed interim government. Friday's demonstrations were held despite the army-backed government's threat that there would be a crackdown.
Welcome back. Just before we went for a break to watch that video clip, there was some heated discussion going on between our guests. So, Dr. Ghanem, I would like to put this question. Don't you think that Muslim Brotherhood was given a very good opportunity, a golden opportunity, to prove themselves as a viable governing party, which was based on purely Islamic values? Put it that way. It may be wrong calling Islamic value representing all Islamic sects. As we know, there are so many sects in Islam now, in Muslims. So, but it not only failed itself, but it gave the opportunity to the critics who sort of argued that the political Islam was not viable anymore.
Well, I put it that way. Muslim Brotherhood, after 60 years, is being abused and punished for no reason whatsoever, but just being fighting for democracy. And after 60 years, which my friend here would say, they will never be. They survive. What happened when the Egyptian people have the freedom to choose? The Egyptian people choose them in 5 democratic count. Then they carry on. As any political party, I wouldn't call any Islamic movement in political, it's a part of Islam. Politics is a part of Islam. They are a political party. But they come the army because they felt losing the privilege. Whatever this Sisi went in his mind, maybe the picture of Nasser or being paid for, has made a coup. Then within that coup, he stopped the progress. Not just for Muslim Brotherhood, for the whole democratic process. It's not the issue of Muslim Brotherhood anyway. They try to narrow the issue to Muslim Brotherhood and make it, this is a devil, in order to justify their action.
Well, they're going to have elections soon, don't they?
What election? In that atmosphere, killing, detaining, you know, it never happened in the Egyptian history. They detained girls 19 and 17 years, and a woman 65 years old woman. That's never happened in the history. Closing all the media, appointing this government, appointing the committee which do the constitution. That's a game. That's a boy game. Egyptian people will never accept that. Then the whole thing is not just one thing, it's a whole package. The package is taking Egypt out of the democratic process to go back under the army rule. Who's benefiting the army rule is the privilege, the people who has the privilege, the monopoly of the economy, the monopoly of political, the monopoly of the authority. Okay. Egyptian people will never accept that.
Let's bring in a representative of Christian community, Egyptian Christian community. I would like to welcome Gail Aziz in the program. Can you hear us, Aziz? Hello? Do we have Mr. Aziz online? Hello, Mr. Aziz. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, we will try to bring Mr. Aziz back in the program. We have lost contact with him. Mr. Yusuf, this question about political Islam, do you think the failure of Muslim Brotherhood signified the end of political Islam?
Mr. Hussein, Islam is so holy and so dear to put it on the same level of politics. Politics is something and Islam is something else. If we say political Islam, then we undermine the Islam. And I don't think most of the Egyptian people will allow this to happen again. We have seen the political Islam, what have done for us. Part of the country we're going to be given away, south of Egypt and in Sinai desert, was given to under the big project of the Middle East. Part of the Sinai desert, and it's documented for Mr. Muhammad to know. He will know within the next 2 months. And count on me on this.
So who documented?
And I'll come to you here.
Whose plan was that?
They were giving away the north of Sinai as a part solution for the Middle East problem between Israel and the Palestinians.
So they were giving
it's
it to
documented
Israel.
And recorded, voice recording.
So
we will give it as a gift for Mr. Muhammad to judge the Muslim Brotherhood politically. in 2 months' time during the investigation with Morsi. So the Muslim Brotherhood has a project whereby Egypt is a small place. Their leadership, one of their previous leadership said Toz. The word Toz in Arabic means Egypt is nothing to him. For us, no. Egypt is everything.
Okay.
It's our nation.
So, Dr. Ghanim, do you think that, do you realistically believe that Muslim Brotherhood will have any chances of getting back to power, or even getting back as a normal political organization?
Well, Islam is a belief, it's a creed, isn't it? What Islam means, organizing human life activity. You cannot take politics out of it. What will lift in Islam? Politics is a main part of Islam, like as economic, as social, as military, as every human activity. If you don't understand that, unfortunately, you don't understand Islam. Secondly, Muslim Brotherhood, Nasser has done to them, which nobody in the history has violated human rights as Nasser done. What happened after 60 years? When the Egyptian people have the chance, they choose Muslim Brotherhood. Then we say political Islam is a part of Islam. You cannot deny that. And we don't have hierarchy. We don't have a church. We have shura. And shura and democracy is connected. They are very strong. We accept democracy from the shura point of view. The people who kept telling us all day they accept democracy, now they are against democracy.
The problem I see with that model is that shura interpreted by Muslim Brotherhood, which may stem its Islamic values from one particular branch of Islam, may not be acceptable to the other branch of Islam.
No, what I say as Islam in general, democracy has two parts. To understand democracy, you have to understand the two parts. The administrative party, which is a hierarchy, how to choose your representative. And the juristic. We have a divine juristic. And nobody's denying that. But representation, that is democracy. And this is where we agree with democracy for representation. We differ with them from the juristic, for the law. Okay. We have divine law. And this is together make a whole structure of political Islam.
I'll get Mr. Yusuf to reply to that. But before we move on to this, I've been told that we have got Gail Aziz online with us. Can you hear us, Gail?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, so first of all, would you like to give us some background? I know you are representing Egyptian Christian community.
I present I present myself.
And how do you
Egyptian.
How do you see this situation?
I spoke to two people today. I spoke to the doctor today and the two doctors today. And we are talking, I passed the message earlier. I didn't know if it's a very loud speaker here, sorry. I spoke to the two, your guests today, and the Dr. Amir and Dr. Ghani. And I said to them that we are all Egyptian. And we're supposed to be coming to, in conclusion, it's been between us to just only to stop all this blood. The Egyptian blood is not cheap. We are coming in a situation, this blood looks like it's just it's more like a water in the street. Actually, when we try to say, forget all the past, and we don't put involved, we don't want to involve, it's echoing.
Yeah, no, that's fine, continue, we can hear you.
Yeah, all right. We try to just only mention, we have to put the politics and the religion is separate. We're mixing all together. It cannot work this way.
So let me ask you this: as a Christian, as an Egyptian Christian, did you or your community feel any threat from Muslim Brotherhood?
I just explained to Dr. Ghanim, and I explained everybody, and I think everybody know me anyway. Well, actually, we we don't care if they are burning the whole churches in Egypt. The only thing that is more important to us, the Egyptian blood. Egyptian blood is more valuable for anything than anything at all. We don't want, I explained before many times, we don't want to involve the religion with the politics. And what actually happened in the past, it's more mixed. It doesn't work this way.
Okay.
I hope we forget and we start back.
Well, this is very idealistic situation which looks far from the reality. But let me ask you something else. Do you see this meddling in Egyptian affairs by external forces, especially by the Middle Eastern countries? How do you see that?
Sorry, I missed that question, please. Sorry.
Yeah, so what I wanted to ask you, we have got two opposing views, and in both cases, the external forces, especially the Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE and Qatar, they have been meddling in the Egyptian affairs. So how do you see that? Do you think they are partly to be blamed for what's happening in Egypt?
I didn't think so. I mean, we know that the Egyptian is the leader of Arab leaders, and if the regime is fall down, the whole Arab world is falling down. We don't want to get involved again, as what actually happened in Iraq. Now we are supporting not against the war against Syria, because when we finish with Syria, we're going to start with Egypt. I hope we stop this, because we all have to be united all together. Because we don't want any interference. Everything's.
So have you? So have you been recently to Egypt?
Yeah, I go 3 times a year. This is my country, and this is my family.
Okay. All right. Let me put same question to Dr. Ghanem. This interference. Yeah, stay online. I'm going to put same question to Dr. Ghanem about interference by external forces. Do you think they are partly to be blamed for interfering in the Egyptian affairs, and that really aggravated the situation?
Of course, everybody on every action, you have to be accounted for it, because you have to understand what is the objective of your action. When Saudis supported, they never support Egyptian people, they support the coup. Why they support the coup? Because they're anti-democratic. It's simple as that. That's not going to make any use of the army.
So it's nothing to do with religion, it's mainly to do with politics.
It's politics. That's why we say, whoever your opinion is, let you believe to yourself. We have a political issue here, let us solve it politically. Keep the army away, keep the police, both of them do the job which the Egyptian people pay out of their pocket, their salary. They should stick with their job and leave the Egyptian people with their difference to solve it through democratic process. And this is the idea. Anybody who doesn't see that, he's out of mind.
Okay, so let me ask Mr. Amir a question from, it's a hypothetical question basically, it's a scenario. If you were to face Free Egyptian Army, the way it's been projected in Syria, in the shape of, in the form of Free Syrian Army, how would you respond to that?
It will never happen in Egypt. I can guarantee you this. Egyptians don't have such. The Egyptians themselves, even the Muslim Brotherhood. All the Egyptian society do not have such violence.
You can already see violence.
This violence which is brought into Egypt through the border of Egypt and all that, it is supported by the Muslim Brotherhoods. But most of the violence in Sinai Desert, they are non-Egyptian. There's a lot of non-Egyptians among the people who are there who've been brought up to Egypt during Morsi time.
Well, that's the same argument which is being used in Syria. They are saying it's all the external fighters. There is hardly local fighter fighting the regime. But would you?
I spent
Muslim
five years of my life in the Egyptian army. I know the army inside out. Egyptian army is all free army. They cannot split the Egyptian army. Especially 70% of the Egyptian army, they do national service. They have no interest in politics. They have no privilege. It's only the Sisi militia, which they have the privilege. They control economy. They take too much money out from outside. They want to keep monopoly. You know, as Mr. Yusuf was saying, the Ikhwan was trying to make the country Ikhwan. The army is now doing worse. They try to occupy with respect to the army. But the thing is, you have to say, to tell the spade is spade. The army signed for service to control the border and fight the enemy. What to do with politics? And so especially, we have suffered for that for the last 60 years. Just get out. Leave the Egyptian people with their difference. We are capable of sort our differences through the democratic process, which the whole world that accepted. Why we are the odd one out? Let us practice democracy, and one of the definition of democracy, that democracy correct itself. Let democracy work.
We've got. Let's get some views from British perspective. We have got Mr. Paul Armstrong online with us. Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Paul. I don't know whether you have been listening our program, but let me tell you. We have been talking about ongoing crisis in Egypt, and how I would like to have your analysis on the situation from a British perspective.
My analysis, I've sort of built it up through Facebook contacts, other contacts they have online, friends I have in Egypt, also what the different media channels are saying. So it's sort of a composite analysis that I have. What I could see is very worrying, to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't 100% support Morsi, but at the same time, for a democratically elected leader to have been removed by military coup, whether they call it that or not, you know, he was removed by the military. It's a very worrying situation, and this is a dark day for democracy.
So. Well, that's we know that he was an elected president, but how would you respond to this popular uprising? We all witnessed millions of people who turned up to Tahrir Square and in rest of the major cities of Egypt. So that's been used as a you know, sort of a reason, a sign for the Egyptian army to intervene.
Oh, for sure, there were grievances against President Morsi. I mean, I myself, you know, mentioned some online. But at the same time, grievances is one thing. I have grievances with the current UK government. I have grievances with them, well, certainly David Cameron wanted to take us into another war in Syria. But at the same time, I don't think he should be removed by the British Army. You know, that would be the wrong way of handling the situation. The processes for dealing with these things, and a process should have been tried first. And it just seemed to me like the military wanted an excuse to remove President Morsi, and so they did. And this was a perfect excuse for them.
Okay,
and
Paul.
Instead of actually trying to address things in a more constructive manner.
Well, I've got Mr. Amir Yusuf, who is the vice chair of the Egyptian Knights. He wants to ask you a question. Do you want to ask him a question?
Hi, Paul. Good evening to you.
Hi.
Paul, I would like to ask you as an analyst, if you, in a country whereby your president been asked for presidential early elections to solve the problem, been given 1 week chance to say yes for early election, then 48 hours, and all in a sudden you have 35 million people on the streets asking the president, please go for early elections, and he refused. What you would expect from any army in the world to take action? What do you want them to do? You know, leave the country to go chaos and bloodshed between the Egyptians themselves, or do something?
From my perspective,
yes, please.
Somebody who lives in a democratic country, even with its shortcomings, you know, Britain is still a democracy. The army has no place in getting itself involved in politics. In a democracy, the army shouldn't be on the streets. That is the place of the police. The army is a country's exterior force. It defends its borders, it defends itself, it defends the nation from exterior threats. When the army is on the streets, you have to question how much democracy a country has.
Well, but what I would like to add to it is that we cannot compare British democracy with Egyptian democracy or with any developing country's democracy.
But democracy,
new to democracy.
You can't
I appreciate that. But at the same time, I'm just saying, you know, in a state, there's a role that is addressed by the police and a role that's addressed by the military. I know this isn't quite as straightforward in Egypt, but that is the goal. If Egypt is to be a democratic state, they should clear these things up and ensure that the army is clear in its role and what its role is. And it worries me, you know, when an army will get involved in the internal affairs, the internal politics of the country. That is not the role that the army should get involved in unless there really is, and I mean real chaos, not like a few, you know, 1,000 people protesting or something, but something is really, really terrible. And from my analysis, Egypt hasn't reached that stage. For sure, there was a lot of grievances against President Morsi, and, you know, I can fully appreciate that. But at the same time, I mean, he was only in for a year, you know, and then when he removed. It's like, give the guy a chance, you know.
Well, the people against your argument would say, what happened, look, what happened in 1 year, so many people lost it, there was no economic improvement. What could be the situation after 4 years if he was allowed to finish his tenure? But it's not for me to decide. But what I wanted to ask you about, how do you see the future of Egypt? Do you see that as in dictatorship, democracy, or Sharia law?
Well, for one thing, it's for the Egyptian people themselves to decide, but that is the people as a whole, not for one faction or another faction. You know, you have to get everybody, all the leaders of Egyptian policy who want to take Egypt forward, who are representing the different groups. Somehow we have to get them into a room together and get them to thrash out their positions and discuss it. You know, because, you know, fighting on the streets is not going to solve anything. Yeah, but prosecuting a leader of a democratic party after he'd only been in government for a year, you cannot compare him to Mubarak. You cannot you know, regardless of Morsi's shortcomings. And like I've said, I've already recognised that he has a shortcoming, but you can't compare him to Mubarak. You know, whatever he did is nothing on that scale. So for him to be prosecuted and be detained like this and taken for power, that is very worrying. But you need the Muslim Brotherhood there. You need the other parties around the table. You need the other big interest groups. And yeah, a representative from the army. Yes, representatives from the police. And all the civil bodies. And they need to discuss where they're going to take Egypt. Because until then, you know, you can't just arbitrarily take it in this direction or that direction.
Paul, I have to interrupt. Sorry, Paul, because we are moving. Sorry, I have to interrupt here, Paul, because we are moving. We are running out of time now for the program. And before we finish program, I wanted to ask you, Dr. Ghanim, similar question, same question. What do you see the solution for Egypt? Is it dictatorship, democracy, or Sharia law?
Well, we've seen the picture now. The Egyptian people rise up against the military coup. I'm sure the military have some honest people around. It's the same as the police. The Egyptian people will keep their struggle until they reverse the coup. Then we go back to democracy. Okay. There is no other alternative.
same question: dictatorship, Sharia law, or
Mr.
democracy?
Hussain, record that I'm saying to you right now, and I will be
sure,
on this
we'll
program
invite you. We'll
shortly.
hold you responsible.
Thank you. Egypt is going for a very shiny future. The Egyptian people are going to have a fantastic future very soon, and also the progress is very fast. We, and I represent many professional people, investors and all that, have lots of development programs for Egypt coming through, and this will be within the next 6 months. So a good sign, my friend, today that the National Reserve has been increased to $19 billion. Since the regime of Morsi came, it's been declining till it reached 9 or 10, I think. So there is a lot of progress, and I promise you, and I will call you to be invited here to prove that what I said was correct.
Well, the reserves
Egypt
could be
going towards a real development, a real good future, leadership to the area, leadership to the region, and Egypt is going to its right place as it used to be.
Thank you very much for
You're welcome,
Mr. Amir Yusuf and Dr. Mohammed Ghanem for participating in program. Dear viewers, that's all time we have for today's program. Whatever happens in Egypt will have consequences not only for the region but for the wider world, and we will try to cover upcoming events and the developments in Egypt in our future programs. Until next week, take care and Allah Hafiz.